thank you everyone for coming today. Many familiar faces in the audience and friends, fellow entrepreneurs. You all know how significant this moment is. For those that know me, you'll know I'm a big fan of history. If you study history carefully enough, look at the nuances of it, you notice that you can actually see what you need to do in the future. An example of what I mean is, look back at the 1400s. Back then, entrepreneurs were called explorers. And the main mode of transport was a boat. We've come a long way, I know. And from the detail of the history, some of you will probably know, we all know that Christopher Columbus was one of the very famous entrepreneurs back in those days. But what some of you might not know is how many times he was told his idea was crazy, how finding a new world was pointless, and would we all be here today if he hadn't managed to convince people to do something crazy. Many, many kings said no. And for the women in the room, you'll be pleased to know, it was Queen Isabella who saw the potential in this entrepreneur. But she was cautious. She didn't give him the money that he needed. Her husband, King Aragon, real piece of history, this is not from Game of Thrones, King Aragon, true piece of our history, was also cautious. They didn't want to put their name, their brand, to something that could potentially fail. So what did they do? According to Wikipedia? She never gets it wrong. They sent out a letter to all the lands they owned, and they said, supply the resources this crazy entrepreneur needs to be successful. Wood to build the ships, food to fill up the galleon, beer, pizza, wine, all the things he needed. And as the country rallied the resources behind him, we all know what happened. Thank God. A new world was discovered. It was a myth that the world was considered flat back in those days. That was not the problem. They would fall off the edge of the earth. The fear was failure. Queen Isabella backed him with this letter to everyone in the land. And if I look at today, I look at what we're doing here at the Infiniti Lab, these amazing partners. We have the whole team of Infiniti. From the moment a year ago when we started talking about this concept, I was very casually saying, why don't we get involved with helping entrepreneurs? Infiniti went all the way. Look at this space. They have dedicated their personal time, their resources, to bringing Tipping Point, not only to Hong Kong, but to startups that get involved in this program. So when I think about it, when I look back at history, the learning I have from this piece of history is, today, Infiniti and Nest send a letter out to all our offices, all our colleagues, all our friends in this room, and we're saying, please give resources to these startups, to these crazy founders, these explorers, the driven amongst us. And great things can happen. So I'd like to close by just saying a big thank you to the Infiniti team, to our sponsors, Amazon, supporters like KPMG. I don't want to forget anyone, so I'm looking at the screen in case I do. Of course, the government of Hong Kong, which is doing everything it can to help the private sector do its job. Microsoft, and of course Samsung. Together, we are an ecosystem that can make a difference. And I'm proud to stand up here today telling you, on the 14th of September, we will have 8 founders here ready to start their journey, to start their voyage. Come by an Infiniti, and then come up here and inspire them to one day do the same. So I'd like to thank you all for coming. Again, I'd like to thank Infiniti for putting their back into this. As an entrepreneur, that's something I really value. This is not just one batch, this is not just one program. This is a long-term commitment to Hong Kong. It's a long-term commitment to founders around the world We had, thank you for not stealing my thunder, 145 startups from 38 countries applied to this program. Rightly so. You have $1 billion brand behind you. If you're in smart cities, you're in Internet of Things, do you think there's a better company than Nissan Corp to support your manufacturing? To support you go to market, to reach customers? This is something quite special. This is the first car company to ever do an accelerator of this nature. This is a moment. So enjoy it. Enjoy the wine. Come by often. Click like on our Facebook pages. Cheer on the startups to succeed and fail. And enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you, everyone.
Sit down, Simon.
Okay.
Thank you. No, I would ask you to please come back on stage, as well as Mr. Jan, Roland, and Dane, just for a photo opportunity